The Great Confederation stands as one of the most enduring institutions in the galaxy, a force neither inherently benevolent nor overtly wicked. It is not designed to embody goodness, though it makes deliberate strides toward that goal. Nor is it structured to be evil, despite certain policies that have, over time, been bent to justify acts of shocking cruelty. At its core, the Confederation exists for one primary purpose: survival. And that's the plot, right? And La San Camino, it is a bastion against chaos and barbarism, a towering construct meant to endure the passage of millennia. In this singular mission, it excels, bolstered by an intricate web of customs, traditions, and rituals that stretch across the ages, like a shadow trailing behind its stately march through history. These traditions, though seemingly trivial to the uninitiated, play a critical role in the Confederation's stability. Bureaucrats dedicate their entire lives to navigating the labyrinthine processes that these customs demand. What might appear as superfluous rituals to outsiders provide the Confederation with an inertia, a steadying force that is as effective as treaties or military deterrents. One such ancient tradition, deeply rooted in the Confederation's past, finds itself intertwined with one of its most recent members: humanity. Buildercraft alongside two former underclassmen, humanity. When humanity finally breached the confines of its modest empire and encountered the galaxy's most esteemed institution, they brought with them a peculiar tradition. The practice dictated that any new race joining the Confederation would select an epithet, a name that reflected their defining characteristics. This was no mere formality. These names encapsulated not only the civilization's cultural identity, but also its evolutionary journey. What qualities had enabled it to rise from primal beginnings and reach the stars? The chosen name was both a point of pride and a promise, a reflection of what the race valued most or aspired to become. Well, the naming tradition itself was straightforward. The radiating flue, whose spindly towers reached skyward as a testament to their ambition, adopted the epithet "those who climb." The steadfast Modore, who evolved from nomadic herders to fleets of armored wanderers, became those who wander in strength. The Rit, a telepathic hive mind operating in perfect unison, chose the name "those who are one." I don't know. Each name carried a profound meaning, representing the unique qualities that defined a species' rise to prominence. Many within the Confederation regarded the tradition as archaic, even foolish. Critics argued that such names oversimplified complex civilizations, reducing their rich histories to a single reductive label. Yet, the practice endured. It held an undeniable power, for a name is more than a mere title. It is a commitment, a declaration of intent. A warrior from those who die gloriously, for instance, might feel compelled to fight to the bitter end, driven by the weight of their species' reputation. For better or worse, these names offered a window into the values a race held dear. When the time came for humanity to select its epithet, the decision became a topic of fervent discussion across the Confederation. This was no idle gossip. A species-chosen name could reveal critical insights into their character, informing diplomacy, trade negotiations, and even the entertainment industry. The decision was expected to take cycles of deliberation. Yet, to everyone's surprise, humanity's representatives announced their choice with astonishing speed. Standing before the Confederation Senate, the Terran ambassador declared, "Call us those who run." The announcement sent ripples through the Confederation. Biologically, the name made sense. Humans with their upright posture and long limbs were built for endurance running. Their evolutionary history, marked by persistence hunting and long-distance travel, supported the choice. But the name raised eyebrows for other reasons. Out of countless possibilities, why had they chosen to define themselves by running. What message were they trying to convey? What promise lay hidden within this seemingly simple title? In the cycles that followed, humanity's actions seemed to align with their chosen name. They displayed a remarkable aversion to conflict, consistently seeking diplomatic solutions where others might resort to war. When confronted, they often retreated, yielding ground to de-escalate tensions. Their ability to negotiate peaceful resolutions earned them respect and admiration from many quarters. However, it also left them with few allies who would trust them in times of crisis. The reputation of those who run cast doubt on their resolve, leading some to question whether they could be relied upon when the stakes were highest. This perception did not go unnoticed by the Lashai, a species infamous for their controversial role within the Confederation. Predators by nature, the Lashai had earned their epithet, those who scourge, through centuries of ruthless military campaigns and cutthroat politics. Their lightning-fast attack fleets and relentless pursuit of their goals made them both feared and begrudgingly respected. While individual Lashai might exhibit kindness or restraint, their collective reputation was one of calculated brutality. To the Lashai, humanity appeared as an ideal target. The Terrans were newcomers, inexperienced in the Confederation's complex web of rules and traditions. The Lashai, by contrast, were masters of this system, having spent centuries perfecting their manipulative tactics. They began weaving a web of minor disputes, setting the stage for a confrontation that humanity was ill-prepared to face. The culmination of their scheming was a declaration of quarrel, an ancient ritual that pitted one Confederation member against another, barring any outside interference. Originally designed to resolve disputes without triggering larger conflicts, quarrel had become a tool for preying on vulnerable races. The Lashai carefully engineered the conditions required to invoke the ritual, painting humanity as the aggrieved party. In an institution as mired in bureaucracy as the Confederation, the Lashai's meticulous documentation and legal maneuvering ensured that their case would stand unchallenged. When the Lashai formally declared quarrel, the Terran representative pleaded with them to reconsider. "We are a fledgling strength," he said. "This war and all that follows will define the future of both our races." The Lashai senator responded with a chilling laugh, bearing sharp, predatory teeth that stirred primal fears in all who witnessed it. Drawing forth an ornate scroll, he cast it at the Terran's feet and spoke the ancient challenge. "Call not to your allies, for their doors are shut. Flee to your dens, gather your strength and make your stand. We are coming." Humanity scrambled to prepare for the onslaught. Their modest fleet, designed primarily for defending trade routes, was insufficient against the might of the Lashai war machine. Factories long dormant since humanity's unification roared to life, churning out warships as quickly as possible. But time was not on their side. The Lashai, having meticulously prepared for this conflict, were ready to strike. The question was not if the Lashai would attack, but where. Earth, humanity's homeworld, was heavily defended, with over a quarter of their forces positioned to protect it. However, other colonies lay vulnerable, scattered across territories that the Lashai could exploit. The Lashai saw a target that would deliver a crushing psychological blow, a symbol so vital to humanity that its loss would shatter their resolve. Cool. After years of planning, the stage was set. The Lashai were coming, and humanity's mettle would soon be tested in ways they could scarcely imagine. Immediately, Volume 3 comes to the front, starring James Remy, Jacoby Cohen, and Benjamin Franklin. Avalon was the crown jewel of humanity's aspirations. After centuries of struggling to repair their homeworlds, the Terrans had learned hard lessons. Their new colonies were crafted with care, their ecosystems preserved, and their development guided by a philosophy of balance and harmony. But Avalon was unique, even among these worlds. A symbol of what humanity could achieve when they set their sights on something greater. The planet was a sanctuary of life. Towering trees stood untouched by human hands. Vast fields of tall grass stretched to the horizon, and animals roamed freely, unafraid of encroachment. The cities of Avalon were not fortresses of industry, but integrated harmoniously with nature. The people who lived there did not see themselves as rulers, but as caretakers. Avalon embodied the ideal of coexistence, a living reminder of what humanity could become. In her impressive laboratory, the people who lived there did not see themselves as rulers, but as caretakers, a living reminder of what human hands could become. This idyllic peace, however, was shattered in a single night. Without warning, the Lashai descended upon Avalon like predators upon unsuspecting prey. For the first time in generations, Avalon's people looked up at the night sky not to see stars, but streaks of fire, as the heavens were torn apart by laser fire and orbital bombardments. The planet's defenses, minimal by design, were no match for the ferocity of the Lashai assault. Avalon's defenders fought valiantly, but they were overwhelmed. Within hours, the Lashai had seized control of the planet. Yet their goal was not conquest. They did not raise their banners over Avalon's cities or claim its resources. No, the Lashai had a different message to send. Okay. Shit. They unleashed destruction on an unimaginable scale. Plasma bombardments leveled cities, leaving nothing but smoldering craters. The forests, once vibrant and full of life, burned until they were nothing but ash. The oceans boiled away, their waters evaporating into choking clouds of steam. The animals, bewildered by the chaos, died in mass. Their bodies scattered across a world that had become unrecognizable. When the Lashai departed, they left behind nothing but silence. Avalon, once a thriving beacon of hope, was now a blackened husk, a lifeless rock drifting in space. The message was clear: resist the Lashai, and you would face annihilation. The Terrans were heartbroken, but their grief soon turned to rage. Retaliation was inevitable, though the Lashai had planned for it. They expected a single desperate counterattack, a futile strike driven by anger, the dying gasp of a wounded people. And so, the Terrans launched their assault on Vakkalat, a heavily fortified Lashai stronghold. The Lashai believed they were ready, but what they faced defied all expectations. The Terran's fleet was an unconventional armada. Instead of sleek warships, it was a motley collection of cargo haulers, mining vessels, and freighters. Vessels never designed for battle, yet these ships had been hastily retrofitted with crude weapons, single-shot railguns, and missiles. Even industrial tools like plasma cutters and rivet guns had been pressed into service. The Lashai, proud warriors and masters of military strategy, were caught off guard. They had never seen anything like the Terran's technicals. Though unorthodox, these makeshift warships proved devastating. They swarmed Lashai battlecruisers, overwhelming them with sheer numbers and ferocity. Vakkalat, despite its formidable defenses, fell within a single subcycle. My luck. At first, the Lashai dismissed the loss as an anomaly. Their military doctrine valued aggression and offense, and they believed they could quickly recover. But each new engagement brought more defeats. The Terrans captured Roko, the Lashai's agricultural heartland, cutting off vital food supplies. They defended the warp station at port, preserving their mobility, and seized the shipyards of Barakina, crippling Lashai's ship production. The Lashai's initial disdain for the Terrans turned to alarm. What had begun as a scattered resistance was now a coordinated and relentless war effort. The Terrans were no longer relying on improvised ships, but were building true war vessels, sleek, powerful, and terrifyingly efficient. These new ships, with advanced shielding, devastating lasers, and superior firepower, outmatched the Lashai's finest fleets. In desperation, The Lashai sought to end the conflict diplomatically. At the Confederation Congress, the Lashai senator proposed a truce. His posture was proud, but his words betrayed unease. He called the Terran representative to the floor, offering peace. The Lashai would withdraw, and the Confederation would mediate the rebuilding of war-torn worlds. And listen, Lashai sought, if possible, to end the conflict diplomatically. At the Confederation would withdraw. The Terran senator stepped forward, silent and grim. From his uniform, he produced a charred scrap of fabric, the last remnant of Avalon's flag. Slowly unfolding it, he cast it at the feet of the Lashai senator. His words were few but heavy. "Carol, the blade cuts both ways. You started this. You will see it finished." A more bland reference to the way things should be? Or are you all about the money? The Terrans rejected the offer. The war escalated further, becoming a brutal conflict of attrition. The Lashai, once masters of war, found themselves matched and even outclassed. The Terrans fought with an unrelenting fury, turning every loss into a lesson and every victory into a stepping stone toward their ultimate goal, the Lashai homeworld of Kant. The final battle was a culmination of all that had come before. Kant's defenders fought with desperation, but it was not enough. The Terrans overwhelmed them, their ships blotting out the skies. When the smoke cleared, a Terran flag flew over the Lashai capital. Yet the Terrans did not stop. They sought not just victory, but justice. Their wrath was directed not at the Lashai people, but at the royal family whose orders had led to Avalon's destruction. But bringing them to justice would be a challenge unlike any other. Before the first Terran ship appeared in Catnet's skies, the royal family of the Lashai had already slipped away in secret. Under the cover of darkness and chaos, they fled to a neighboring system, leaving their people to defend what remained of their crumbling empire. This absence was not lost on the defenders of Catnet. Morale faltered as word spread that their leaders, the symbols of their power and pride, had abandoned them. It was a crushing blow, one that played no small part in their eventual defeat. Still, humanity's ultimate goal remained unfulfilled. The war wasn't over. Catnet fell, and the Terrans turned their gaze to the system where the royal family had fled. They pursued their quarry with unrelenting determination, overrunning defenses and overwhelming opposition. The Lashai nobility fled again, scattering like leaves before a storm. But no matter where they went, the Terrans followed. As one system after another fell, desperation took hold. The Lashai royal family splintered into smaller groups, each hoping to improve their odds by following different paths. Some disguised themselves, blending into their own populace. They abandoned their titles and silks for humble garments, hiding in the shadows of the very people they once ruled. Others paid exorbitant bribes to foreign nations, begging for sanctuary, even if it meant violating the sacred ritual of Karal, the ancient code of those who scourge. A few sought refuge in the lawless outer fringes, turning to pirate clans that cared nothing for Lashai honor or tradition. But the Terrans would not relent. When brute force alone wasn't enough, they turned to cunning. Human agents infiltrated safe havens and hideouts, employing methods that seemed almost supernatural in their precision. No refuge was safe. Those hiding among their people were unearthed. Nations offering sanctuary were confronted and threatened with exposure, their leaders forced to surrender the fugitives to protect their own interests. At one point, Marcel's relative, a rental proprietor of one of the neighborhoods, became captivity, and then the precise moment that the rebels gave up. In the lawless fringes of space where pirates ruled through fear and firepower, the Terrans brought a new kind of violence. They descended upon the outlaw fleets with merciless efficiency, turning the hunters into prey. These were the same humans who had started the war struggling to fend off pirates. Now they wielded a terrifying fury. razing strongholds and burning out hidden sanctuaries. The outlaws, battered and broken, eventually capitulated. So this leads into the backstory of just how they got here. Like after they broke into the war, they started this fucking fiefdom. And they surrendered the nobles in their midst, hoping to stem the bloodshed. But the Terran's campaign pressed on. The last free member of the Lashai royal family, the son of the ruling king, took refuge on Ublio, the most desolate world imaginable. Its ionic atmosphere rendered all technology useless, an impenetrable shield against even the most advanced devices. The prince's ship, a once grand vessel, descended as a powerless hulk, crashing into the barren plains. He parachuted to the surface, leaving behind the wreckage and all tools of survival. He had nothing but his instincts and his pride. Ublio was a harsh, unforgiving world, its vast plains scoured by dry, relentless winds. Game was scarce, but not non-existent. For one who knew the land, its rhythms, its dangers, there were ways to survive. The prince was of those who scourged, a predator by nature. And he was determined to endure. Here, he believed, he could live out his days in exile, untouchable. Surely the Terrans would not dare follow him to such a place. But his certainty was short-lived. Almost a full cycle after his arrival, he saw it, a Terran ship descending through the skies. His heart sank as it crashed into the plains, just as his own had. From the wreckage emerged a lone human, a woman dressed in a flight suit and carrying only a single knife. She surveyed the ruins of her craft, her only means of escape, and then turned her gaze toward the endless plains. Without hesitation, she began to run. What followed was a chase that would become the stuff of legend. For cycles, the two figures traversed the harsh expanse of Ublio. The Lashai prince, a creature built for short bursts of explosive speed, ran as far and as fast as his powerful legs could carry him. But humans are not sprinters, they are endurance runners. The woman pursued him slowly, methodically, and then some windows in the wall broke apart and fell down. Was that some sort of reference to legend? True. The prince tried every trick he knew. He crossed streams to mask his scent, avoided soft ground to leave no tracks, and doubled back to confuse her trail. He laid traps with all the ingenuity he could muster, but she evaded them all, as though she could see the world through his eyes. It was as if she knew his thoughts, predicting his moves before he made them. She was relentless, a living embodiment of persistence hunting. The prince's terror grew with each passing day. His pride, once unshakable, crumbled under the weight of her pursuit. His dreams were haunted by her presence, and his waking hours became a nightmare of endless flight. He ran until his body gave out, crawling through the dust and sand until, at last, he collapsed. When the woman arrived, knife in hand, he did not resist. He had no strength left to fight. When she pressed the blade to his throat, he felt an unexpected relief. It was over. 10 years after the Terran woman first set foot on Ublio, a small craft descended through the planet's atmosphere. The technology to breach Ublio's ionic shield was an extraordinary feat, requiring immense resources. It was done for a single purpose: to retrieve her and her vanquished prey. As the two returned, a victor and her vanquished prey. With this, the war reached its conclusion. Humanity, now in full control, determined the Lashai's fate. The possibilities were grim: enslavement, extermination, or total subjugation. Yet, humanity chose none of these. The Lashai royal family was imprisoned and sent to Avalon, the ruined planet they had once devastated. There, they were tasked with laboring to restore its scorched surface, a process that would take generations. The remaining nobility, spared from punishment by tenuous claims of innocence, were brought to Catnet. On that day, the Lashai learned a new word: balkanization. Their once mighty empire was fractured into a dozen small, quarrelsome nations. No longer unified, they pose no threat to any race. In the halls of the Confederation, a Terran senator proposed an end to the war. "We have proven our point," he said. "Corral is finished. Let aid flow to the broken nations." The Lashai delegates, humbled and divided, raised no objections. Later, I spoke with the Terran ambassador. His people's overwhelming victory had brought them fear, not admiration. He sat alone, weary but resolute. "Once we were weak," he said, "and I had many friends. Now we are strong, and I foresee a lonely future." "Can you blame us?" I replied. "We never imagined what you were capable of." "We haven't had to be warriors for a long time," he said. "But we never forgot how. A name is a promise, after all. Those who run." "I chose to do this," Crabo said. "I once imagined myself to be part hero, but now I'm peacemaker." He chuckled. "Not quite." "What do you mean?" "It was a mistranslation," he said, his sharp teeth glinting in a rare smile. "It's not those who run. It's those who chase."